The Yankees just swept the Red Sox in Boston. That's 3 straight wins. And when you add in the sweep of Kansas City, that's 6 in a row. Now, yes, they did lose the last game of the Angels series before this, but this is something important. It's a stretch where the Yankees have started to win in a completely different way. So the question isn't, are they hot? It's, have they actually changed? Let's zoom in first. Boston. First game, shut them out. 4-0. You had great pitching from Luis Gil. Allowed 0 runs, 2 hits, 2 strikeouts, and 3 walks. Stanton had that big home run. Came up later in the game, had a nice 2 RBI double. Get the 4-0 win. Game 2. Fried is absolutely dominant in his 8 innings. We end up getting the 3-run homer by Rosario early on. Another sac fly for him. Win game 2, 4-1. Game 3, it was a little bit tighter. Still had phenomenal pitching from Cam Schlittler. He ended up going 8 innings, gave up 1 earned run, and Yankees end up scoring 3 runs in the 7th inning and win the game 4-2. 3 wins. 3 controlled games. Now zoom out a little bit. Go back just over a week. We split the series with the Angels. Then we sweep the Royals, and here we are going into Boston, sweeping the Red Sox. It's a 6-game winning streak. And here's what stands out. It's the way that they're winning. Not chaos, not shootouts, but control. In that Angels series, we had quite a bit of chaos. And we had a shootout. That first game, back and forth, scoring a lot of runs. We finally ended up winning 11-10. But this last series, we were in complete control. So what held? Well, first of all, the run prevention. In Boston, we gave up 0, 1, and then 2 runs. Averaged 1 run per game. And this isn't just one series anymore. This is carried across now 2 series. It's not random. We shut out Kansas City in the last game against them. Gave up 2 in the first game, 4 in the second game, 0 in the third game, and then a grand total of 3 runs to the Red Sox in this series. That's great pitching. Second thing that held is game control. This is the biggest shift because these games now feel slower, cleaner, and a little bit more predictable. We're not just surviving games anymore. The Yankees are managing them. And when you have that elite pitching and you can score a decent amount of runs on offense, you get to control and manage the way these games are played. And that's exactly what the Yankees just did in Boston. The third thing is the situational offense. Wasn't exactly explosive in this series. I feel like normally we go into Boston, we score a lot more runs. But we did score a lot of runs in the last 2 series against the Angels and Kansas City. We scored 4 runs per game in this series against Boston. So not explosive, but it was timely, it was efficient, and it was enough. That's all you need when the pitching is working. So what we haven't seen in this series with Boston is the high-pressure offensive response. There hasn't really been pressure in this series. They haven't really been forced into a true late-inning must-score situation yet. And that test is coming. The closest they had to it was a 2-1 game in the 7th inning where we scored the 3 runs. But there was no tie game in the 8th or 9th inning in any of these 3 games. So, not really high pressure. Nothing too crazy for our bullpen either. But the other thing we haven't really seen is consistency at the bottom of the order. It's improving. We did see in games 1 and games 3 of this series, the bottom half of the order had more than half of the hits in those 2 games. So, improvement? Yes. Are they fully reliable? Not yet. We still have 5 guys on the roster that are hitting below 200. So, they're creeping up there, but they're not there yet. So how did they respond? Well, after the Tampa series, the question was, can they clean up execution and actually stabilize? And then came the Angels series. And that's important because it wasn't a full answer. It was a transition. They split the series, and within those games you saw some of the same inconsistencies. You also saw some signs of better control and fewer complete breakdowns. It wasn't clean, but it was not the same team we saw against Tampa either. Tampa was breakdowns in the bullpen, breakdowns offensively, just was not any clean games in that series. So, yes, we saw some improvements against the Angels, but not full improvement. Then was Kansas City. And that's where things start to look intentional now. So now you're seeing cleaner execution, much better pitching control, and more consistent results. And then the series in Boston confirms that. Because now it's not just, oh, that was one good series. It's, this is the pattern now across the last 2 series. So, yes, they responded, but it didn't all happen at once. The problems were exposed in Tampa. We had an adjustment phase against the Angels. Our execution improved against Kansas City. And then our identity is really starting to form now in this series against Boston. That's the funny thing about this Yankees-Red Sox rivalry. A lot of times, the team actually forms their identity in these situations with our rivals. Whether for the better or worse, we've seen both over the years, but this was definitely a good identity forming for us in this series. So, what was the turning point of this stretch of games? Well, you look at game 1 against Boston. That's where it stopped looking like, oh, this is just a little winning streak, and it started to look like a system. We won the game 4-0. That was the 4th win in a row. It was clean, it was controlled, and it looked just like that last game against Kansas City. And that's the key. It's the consistency of style. Solid pitching, effective hitting. So if we're to look at player performances, what was the positive here? Obviously, the starting pitcher. That is the anchor of this winning streak. It's driving everything. So we're limiting runs, controlling the tempo, and eliminating chaos. This is the foundation of this stretch. And another thing I want to point out, which I don't know how many people are actually talking about this, but the series, or I should say the pitching of Max Fried and Cam Schlittler has been so similar since they pitched back-to-back. You look at their numbers, it's eerily similar. You go back to San Francisco, first series of the season. Fried goes 6.1 innings, 2 hits, no runs. Schlittler follows up with 5.1 innings, 1 hit, no runs. Then we go to Seattle. Fried goes 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs. Schlittler goes 6.1, 2 hits, no earned runs. Then Fried pitches the last game against Miami. Schlittler pitches the first game against the A's. Fried's numbers were 6.2, 5 hits, 3 earned. Schlittler's numbers, 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned. In Tampa Bay, they didn't have great outings, but Fried went 8 innings. Schlittler only went 5. Fried gives up 6 hits, 3 earned. Schlittler gives up 7 hits, 3 earned. Then Fried pitched the last game against the Angels. Schlittler pitched the first game against Kansas City. This is the one where the earned runs are a little bit different, but Fried goes 5.1s, 3 hits, 5 earned runs. Schlittler goes 6 innings, also 3 hits, but 0 earned runs. And then you look at this last series with Boston, and you got Fried going 8 innings, 3 hits, 0 earned. Schlittler going 8 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned. Those are very similar performances. In total, they both had 6 starts. They've both given up 22 hits each. Fried has gone 6 more innings and given up 11 earned runs. Schlittler has gone just 35.2 innings and only 7 earned runs. If these two can continue like this and just mirror each other's starts and both look like aces, we're in a good spot. This is going to be really good for us throughout the season, and hopefully it continues into the playoffs where they just shut down the other team's bats. But we'll see. Now, our concern from this series, which there are very few considering the results have been so good, but one of the concerns we have is the bottom of the lineup. They've had better at-bats, they've had better results, but they're still not fully trusted in the high leverage spots. And that's the next step. So we'll see what happens with that. And what's been trending? Well, it's the team identity. Controlling games is now a pattern. This is the biggest development. It's no longer one series. It's now, this is how they're going to try to win. And more importantly, they're actually doing it more consistently. So if we do a structural check now on the standard, zoom out, what does this stretch tell us? Well, what's aligned? The starting pitching is elite, anchored by Fried and Schlittler. Weathers, Warren, Heel all have had good starts in their last outings. The run prevention is elite. Again, when you only give up an average of 1 run per game like they did in this series, that's about as good as it gets. And then game control is real for this team. They can actually do that. The beginning of the season, the first few weeks, we're wondering, is this just going to be a chaotic season? But we've seen in these last few games, no, we can actually control games. And we're going to need to do that, especially against good teams, come October. So what still needs proving? Well, number one is the offense under pressure, because they haven't really been pushed yet during this stretch. Obviously, Kansas City and Boston have not been having great seasons so far. So you haven't really had that pressure. You haven't been pushed yet. That moment is coming, but we have not seen it yet. The other thing that needs proving is the sustainability. And again, we haven't faced teams that are considered contenders in the playoffs right now. And we need to know, can this style that the Yankees are playing that works so well against Kansas City and Boston hold against better pitching and higher leverage situations and bigger moments? So what do we learn from this series? Well, this is the blueprint. And now we know it's repeatable. You do it in one series, it could be, a false alarm. Now that you do it in 2 series back to back, it's real. We can do this. The second thing we learned is this looks like they're really making an adjustment. It's not just a shift in momentum, but it's a shift in the approach. You're shutting down the other team's bats, and you're making good contact. Like we said, the bottom of the lineup has started to hit in these last couple of games. The approach has changed. Hopefully it continues. And the other thing that we learned is the question has changed. We're no longer asking, can they do it? It's, will this hold when it matters most? So as far as the trend line, what way is the offense, pitching, and execution trending? I would say for the offense, we're staying in the middle. It's efficient. It's not fully tested. We've got games where against Kansas City we score 13 runs. You got games against the A's or the Angels you score 11 runs. And in this Boston series, we scored enough because of our pitching, but we only scored 4 runs per game, which was not enough when we played the Rays. So we'll say the offense is somewhere in the middle. Pitching, obviously, trending way up. The run prevention has been practically flawless. The starting pitching has been amazing. Starting pitching has only given up 3 total runs in the last 6 games. 3 earned runs, I should say, in the last 6 games. So it's been phenomenal. And then the execution also trending up. Like I said, you got the big guys hitting like they're supposed to. You got the bottom of the lineup hitting when they need to. Hopefully it continues. Our identity is forming. It's coming into place. We can be that team that controls the game without chaos. So what should we be looking for in this next series against Houston? Well, we need to see what happens when they're tested. Are there going to be late game pressure situations? It should be better competition. I mean, the Astros and Yankees have had this rivalry for the past decade. So, hopefully, we'll see some good competition, and we'll see what happens when they're tested late in the games. Second thing to watch for is, can the offense deliver in a tight spot? Not just the early runs, which we know we can do. We've seen it quite a bit. But can we score late in games? Is that late execution going to be there? And the third thing we want to watch is, will the bottom of the order hold up? It's still the weak point. It's getting better. We need to see if it continues to improve. So the final verdict, this is the truth. This is the best stretch of baseball that the Yankees have played all year. It's not just because they're winning, but because of how they're winning. But the standard isn't just 6 games, it's sustainability. And right now, they've taken a real step. Now they have to prove that it holds. That's the standard. It's not just winning, it's becoming the team that can win when it matters. And right now, they're getting closer. This is The Standard with Brian Leavy.